Hi there. Today we're going to have a quick look at how we can use delegates and events within Unity. Today we're just going to look at a simple event that processes mouse clicks and how that fires off events and how you can hook into those events. And they're really powerful and it's a really nice feature. So let's have a look. Now in this class here I've created my own mouse event args, and we derive from event args. As you see there, if we bring up the intelligence here, event args is the base class for classes containing all event data. So whenever you make any sort of event arguments, you should always derive from event args. And you can see here we're storing what you expect from mouse event args, storing the X and Y position, which button it was, and we're storing whether it is a double click or not. And you can see here in my constructor, we're just setting those values. If you're not familiar with this bit here, this is what's called a default parameter, I think. But when you set up a parameter like that within a method, it means if it doesn't get entered, it will just use the value you specified there. So if I don't enter that double click in the constructor, it'll just get set to false. And you can see that here in my events class. So you see there where I'm creating a new mouse event args. I'm only passing in the X, Y and the mouse button. I'm not passing in the double click. So let's have a look at this. Now you can see here, so this is my delegate. Here, it's called mouse actions. And if you're not familiar with delegates, all it does is provide a signature for methods to use. So my signature for this would be it returns void, it takes an object as the first parameter, and it takes a mouse event args as the second parameter. And it's sort of like a class. You can add, if I wanted to now, I could add other methods that add the same signature to this delegate, and whenever I call the delegate, all the other methods would get called. And they're a very well powerful feature, and you can use them to pass other methods in through parameters, and you can do all sorts with delegates. Very powerful. And then underneath we've got our event. So it's public event. It's a type mouse action, so we know it's going to have the same signature as this thing, and we're calling this event mouse click. That's what's happening. These other parameters you see there, there's just my singleton to access this class. And then here's some parameters for processing whether it was a double click or not. And then now, in our update method on here, so we're just detecting when we got our mouse buttons down, and when they are down, we have to check if it's null, because if nothing's signed up, if nothing's attached itself to this event, and we try calling it, we'll get a null reference exception. So we check if it's null, and then as long as it's not, we fire off the event. So we say mouse click. So that's our sender. Our object sender is this, because this is where we're sending the click event from. And then we're passing in some new mouse event args. So we're just passing in the input position.x and the input position.y, and also the button. Now, we've got double clicks as well. So the double clicks, what will happen is when you press a button, this method will also get called. You see here, this double click check. It attaches itself to the mouse click event. So if we haven't double clicked, if it's just a single click, it comes in. You see there. So if we're not checking for double click, it'll check for double click to true, and it'll also say time at first click equals datetime.now. And then so if we clicked again, this check for double click would be true, so we'd come into here, and then we find out the time between them, and if the time was less, then whatever time was specified for the double click time, it's set to 300 there. We change this parameter on the event on the mouse event args. We're saying e.double click, which is that one. We're changing it to true. Now this mouse event args that get passed into here, this will also be the same one that continues to get passed around in the other methods that are attached to the event. And then you can see if we've already double clicked for some reason, it's managed to come in here. We're going to return there. That's just for error checking, really. We could probably get rid of that, and it wouldn't make much difference. But it's just nice to be safe. Right. So let's have a look at how we might use this. So I've got named a class here called manager. And you can see here I've got here a mouse click handler. Now what this does is it'll look at the mouse event args that comes in, and then it will call the appropriate method. So it'll handle the events. Now you can see here all our methods that we're calling. So if it's a left click, our left click button handler will get called. If it's right click, our right click button handler will get called. If it's center click, our center click button handler will get called. And you can see here we're generating strings as center single click, right single click, left single click. But if it was of type, if the mouse event asks if it was a double click, we'll change the output to say it was a double click. And then we're just going to log it to the console. So let's have a look. Make sure this works. So if I single click, that was a left single click there, you can see that's come up. If I keep left single clicking, if I double click, you see we get our single click and our double click. And it's the same for the right button, right single click. If I do it double, it comes up. And the same for the center button. There we go. Now the really nice thing about this is that I can keep reusing this code in events and mouse event args over and over again. I can use it in loads of different projects. Any project where I'd want to handle mouse clicks, I can use it in any project at all. And I don't have to change any of the coding in the project. I can just add it, and then just within my project specific, within the coding specific for that project, I can just attach the methods to the mouse click event. So it's very good. And the other great thing is that if I wanted to change some things in here, so say if I wanted to change how it calculates if it's a double click, I can change all that, and the rest of my program won't care that I've changed it. It will still work just as intended. So it's nice, it's loosely coupled. I mean, this code doesn't care about project code doesn't really care about this code, and it's reusable, and it's easily updatable and easily maintainable. So Events and Delegates, again, a very, very nice feature of C#, and it can be a very powerful feature within Unity. Thanks for watching.